Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ReignsDean.com. As I mentioned in the previous video, the Mac that I was using for NoDQ&A video finally tapped out, but the show must go on. Got the PC laptop to fill in as the visual aid. Got your questions, and I'm here, so let's get down to it. First one today comes from Juan Carlos Colon. WWE teasing that either Roman or Dean Ambrose may turn heel at Fastlane. Could it be a possibility? Please answer in video. I would like to hope it's a possibility because, as I've mentioned before, if Roman Reigns or Dean Ambrose turns at Fastlane, I will shave off the beard. However, with that being said, I'm not expecting that to happen. I really feel that it should happen, but at this point, I think WWE is going to stick to their plans, and we've seen it before. WWE will stick to their WrestleMania plans regardless of fan backlash, and really, the only time that they changed was WrestleMania 30. They did not change last year, and I'm not expecting them to change this year. WWE is hell-bent on making Roman Reigns the flagship of the company, the replacement for John Cena, and there's even more of an urgency to do that now because of John Cena's injury and him being out of the picture. I would like to say that WWE does this split between Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They've been teasing it for so long now, but usually when WWE teases something, they do the opposite, and they think they're swerving people by doing that, but everyone wants to see a split. That's what it's been building towards, and it hasn't happened. And WWE going with Roman Reigns winning and nothing happening, yeah, it fits with their story that they're trying to tell, but it isn't exactly what a lot of the fans want to see. And I got more questions here regarding this. This one comes from EGS. Do you think that Dean Ambrose should win the main event of Fastlane to avoid heat for Roman Reigns, or how would you book it? Please answer in video. If it was my decision, I would go with what WWE had planned. Now, I know it's not popular, but you need to try and go all the way with Roman Reigns. WWE does need a top babyface, but at the same time, they need a top heel. So if it was my call, I would have Roman Reigns win the match at Fastlane. You know, Bray Wyatt, Wyatt family costs Lesnar the match. Roman Reigns cleanly beats Dean Ambrose. And then after the match, the two of them shake hands, but then Dean Ambrose finally snaps and beats the crap out of Roman Reigns and destroys him and officially turns heel. WWE really needs a strong main event heel, and they do not have one right now. And even though Dean Ambrose is popular, I think there's more potential with his character and more potential for him to go further in WWE as a heel. With Roman Reigns as the top babyface, Dean Ambrose is stuck in that sidekick role, in that secondary position as IC champion. But by going heel, Dean Ambrose could become the #1 heel in the company. And let's look ahead to the future. When Seth Rollins comes back, he's probably going to be a babyface. So why not turn Ambrose heel now and have him as a strong heel to feud with Seth Rollins when Rollins makes his return? Just seems like a good move in the long term. That's what I would do at least, but what I'm expecting to happen is Roman Reigns beats Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose just moves on to his next feud for the IC title, and Roman Reigns goes on to feud with Triple H, and they're still best buddies, and there's no split between the two of them, which I think is ridiculous. I think it should happen. And I got this question here from Devin. What do you think the main event plans would be going into and after WrestleMania if Roman Reigns had a long-term injury? If Roman Reigns got hurt at this point, it would be a disaster for WWE because they are really focusing all of their attention on building up Roman Reigns as the top guy. If he gets hurt, that's really the only scenario where Dean Ambrose would get inserted into the main event. I think that at that point you would really have to go with Dean Ambrose as the next guy in line to get the big main event push at WrestleMania. And, you know, Dean Ambrose could work as the top babyface. He gets these huge pops. He's really over with the fans. And I also feel him being a heel would work very well. And if WWE's hell-bent on pushing Roman Reigns, then I think it's better for Dean Ambrose to go heel. But if WWE is willing to experiment and go in a different direction, or if they have no other choice, then Dean Ambrose as the top babyface would work as well. Alright, this one comes from me. Let's move on here from the Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns topic. Hey Aaron, do you see Bray Wyatt going over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? They seriously cannot have one of their young prospects go 0-3. Please answer in video. I'm not really sure that Bray Wyatt is a young prospect at this stage of the game at this point. He's already been in the WWE for, what, almost 6 years now, and even longer than that if you count his time in developmental. Bray Wyatt has gotten his push, and WWE hasn't really taken him seriously as a top guy. He has lost at WrestleMania. He lost to Undertaker. He lost to John Cena, and I hate to say it, I think it's a little too late for Bray Wyatt to be the top heel in the company. Maybe if they turn him babyface, he could have a renewed push in WWE, but once again, going back to earlier, WWE is short on top heels, but on the same note, Brock Lesnar is the guy who is one of the featured attractions. WWE is paying him big bucks, and he needs to remain strong. So, as much as I hate to say it, WWE has backed themselves into a corner. They need a big match for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and Bray Wyatt really should not be losing, but there aren't a lot of top heels for Brock Lesnar to face at this point. So, you know, WWE, like I said, backed into a corner, and this is really the best they can do. And unfortunately for Bray Wyatt, it makes more sense for the guy that they're paying more money to, who they've invested more in, to win at WrestleMania, and that's Brock Lesnar. Alright, this one comes from Walshy. Hey Aaron, with Titus getting a push lately, what do you think WWE has planned for him? It does seem like they are giving him a strong push. Titus is actually one of those guys that isn't a victim of the 50-50 booking. He's been picking up a lot of wins as of late, ever since he's broken away from Darren Young. How far will he go? That remains to be seen. I think that if the charities continue to help him gain momentum, then there's a possibility he will get a big push in WWE as a babyface character. Now, I got another question here about Titus ONeil. I'll just get to this right now from the Daniel Allen. Does Titus ONeil have much chance of becoming WWE World Heavyweight Champion? Or has he no chance because he's not a, quote, internet darling? This would surprise me. If he actually did become WWE World Champion, that would really surprise me. I mean, you never know, because sometimes there's a guy who has potential, but he doesn't really live up to the potential, and you just never know. When Steve Austin came into WWE, nobody knew just how big he would get in the company. Same thing with The Rock, same thing with Triple H and Mick Foley. Titus ONeil, he's got a lot of potential. He's got the build that WWE likes. He's tall, and like I said, he's good in the public relations department. He very well could be a major star in WWE one day. Right now, it's hard to say. But if he continues doing well, the sky is the limit for him. I would be surprised at this point. I mean, it's just hard to say with so many other guys in the company and WWE's track record of giving up on people so quickly. But, you know, with him, he definitely has an upside. So we'll see what happens. Alright, this one comes from Connor. If this is Undertaker's last match, should he be versus Kevin Owens and be career on the line and Kevin Owens wins? What do you think? If Undertaker faces Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, I would like to see Kevin Owens win and have that be Undertaker's final match. I think Undertaker should go out putting over somebody, and yes, he did put over Brock at WrestleMania 30, but Kevin Owens, anybody who would beat Undertaker at WrestleMania, that is huge. And it would do so much for Kevin Owens in his career and just give him credibility, instant credibility, as the guy that beat The Undertaker in Taker's last match and retired him for good. That would be absolutely huge for somebody like Kevin Owens. I would definitely go with that if that's the match for WrestleMania. I think that that's a much better option than doing, say, Undertaker versus Braun Strowman and just Undertaker winning and that be the end of it. I'd rather WWE do something big at WrestleMania and use The Undertaker to help elevate a younger talent and somebody who's going to be a major star in the upcoming years. And quite frankly, I don't see Braun Strowman being that guy. All right, this one comes from Oscar. What are your thoughts on WWE controlling fans in the arena? Whether it's fans dressed as wrestlers or taking signs away. Please answer in video. I understand why WWE does it, but at the same time, WWE used to be big on freedom of expression and allowing the fans to be vocal and have a say and be able to have their signs be shown without consequences. But really, WWE has been like this for 14, 15 years. I mean, it was only a couple of years that WWE was really not caring about the fan signs and confiscating signs and going out of their way to censor the fans. Maybe 97 through 99, but by 2000, WWE was already starting to confiscate signs, like any kind of pro WCW signs. WWE would confiscate by around 2000, 2001. So it really was only for a short period of time that WWE was doing that whole gimmick of freedom of expression. Vince would say it on Raw, and make a big deal out of fans being able to be creative with their signs. And looking back, also fans had some very vulgar signs. The I'd rather be in China and hardcore porn champion. I saw at one event, I think it was the Rumble 99. So that kind of stuff would not fly in today's politically correct era of WWE. I understand you definitely want to censor the vulgar signs, but an anti-Roman Reigns sign, it doesn't fit with WWE's agenda, and it's their show, so, what can you do? Alright, this one comes from Carlitos01010. If ECW hadn't ended, could they have reached mainstream success like WWE, or would they have always been an underground promotion? The thing that made ECW special was that it was underground and it catered to the anti-establishment and the fans that did not like mainstream wrestling. So if ECW wanted mainstream success, they would have had to change their whole business model, and they would have had to change everything that made them popular with the ECW fans. They would have had to become corporate and sell out, and then they would piss off their diehard fan base. So, it was a bad situation. It was a no-win situation for ECW because they built their reputation on being everything that WWE and WCW were not. And in order to become as successful as WWE and WCW, they would have had to make changes to be more accepting to the mainstream audience and be more corporate friendly. And it just wouldn't have worked for ECW and what they stood for. I mean, really, NXT is kind of like the new ECW, but, it's WWE branded. And, they're able to have it mainstream and have it corporate, but also cater to the indie fans that want something different from WWE. So maybe if ECW had evolved into something like what NXT is today, maybe they would have had a shot. Who knows? Alright, this one comes from Jordy. What do you think of a first ever Divas Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania? I think it's a great idea given all the injuries in WWE. Please answer in video. That's an interesting one because over the years we haven't really seen that many hardcore diva matches where the divas are put in a situation where they're taking the bumps through tables and through ladders and all that stuff. It's very rarely done. Could it be done? Yes. And maybe you'd have to bring up a few more NXT women to have a solid... I don't know if you would do a 6 diva match or you would do 8 divas. If you did 6, it would be a little bit easier. I'm trying to think of the divas on the main roster right now. Sasha Banks, who else? Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Natalia, and maybe a few more. Maybe you throw in a few more NXT women. Paige. You could fill 6 divas into a match, and you could probably pull it off, I think, under the right circumstances and the right women involved. Yeah, it might be interesting to try at some point. We've seen some different things. We saw Elimination Chamber match for the IC title and the tag titles, so maybe one day they'll do it. I mean, that would definitely be something that hasn't been done before, and I would be a fan of that. Just doing something different and trying something different. Alright, this one comes from Sexual Vanilla 28. Hey Aaron, who is your favorite special guest referee in a match? Mine would be Foley from WrestleMania 15. Hashtag in the beard we trust. I would say Shawn Michaels being the guest referee at SummerSlam 1997. I thought that was a great storyline leading up to that pay-per-view, with Shawn being the referee when him and Bret hated each other. And Bret said he would never wrestle in the United States again. And Shawn Michaels said the same thing if he did not play by the rules and be an impartial referee. So I thought that it was a great storyline, and the ending, the finish of that match was really well done, with Shawn Michaels swinging at Bret Hart after Bret Hart spits in his face, and then Shawn accidentally hits Undertaker and has no choice but to count out the Undertaker and award the title to Bret. I thought that was so well done, and it was a great storyline to set up a Shawn Michaels heel turn, and the follow-up with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, first Hell in a Cell match. I would definitely go with that as my choice for the best wrestler in a guest referee role at a pay-per-view, or any event, period. Alright, so that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Subscribe if you haven't already at youtube.com/NoDQCAW, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Fastlane and WrestleMania. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for more.